Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
There's no color, and then you put hot stuff in it, and all the color comes out of it.
Ah, that's awesome. I like those cups a lot. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and as we talk about other kitchenware, welcome to our podcast, Not Quite Cool, where we're going to discuss the greatest things about cuppery, and I'm fucking tired. All right, so I'm here with Chad, as always. Chad Daddy, how you doing, sir?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm ready to get started. We got a lot to talk about.
And part of the reason we have a lot to talk about is because some asshole decided to add 2 whole new segments to our show, and that asshole is Rob Prago. Rob, how you doing, sir?
I think those will be the best 2 segments. After venting, after you guys compliment my vent on Obituary One Kenobi, it'll be because it's dead, Chad. It's never coming back.
That's why we haven't recorded in 6 weeks, is because it's taken him that long to come up with that
joke. Hold on. I got a joke. I'm in labor. It's coming.
It's like you said, Keith, we haven't recorded in forever, but Rob decides to add 2 segments 1 hour before we record. He sends it. And it's not just like a normal thing. It's a segment where I feel like I had to do some homework.
Yeah. I was so upset, but that's a whole other podcast. We're going to have a new podcast on Fridays called Fuck Rob, where we just discuss terrible things about this guy. But we're going to dive in because
this was a long show. Holy crap.
Don't get that confused. Fucking Rob is not a long show. The show Fuck Rob is a long show. Right. Anyway,
thank you very much.
So yes, we're going to talk about a bunch of movies and television shows and stuff that we saw. Rob, I'm sure, will interject with something he didn't put in the text messages that he saw as well. We'll talk about 1 trailer and then a new segment where we list and rank our top picks for specific subject matters. But let's go and kick it off with something that we were all super excited to be
Murders
watching.
in the Building season 2. Yes, you guys, let's dive into this because the first 2 episodes were spectacular.
Did you really watch?
Was that not in my email? Was that out of my text? I'm sorry.
Not at all. Did you really watch that?
The first 2 episodes of season 2. I love that show.
Talk about it.
Well, listen, you can talk about it. Don't spoil it too much because I actually just started season 1. I just watched the first episode of season 1.
So the first 2 episodes of Only Murders in the Building, season 2. What'd you think?
I think it picked up right where it left off. It's great. It's literally a continuation right from the end. It's the same arc. It's the same story, same characters. Steve Martin is a genius. And when season 1 first started, and you guys who haven't watched it, it's a very enjoyable show. It's only a half hour episodes, very funny. Great. The casting is phenomenal. In season 2, really nice surprises who they bring into the show. But it's about a couple people, fairly well off in a building, and they listen and they congregate and they get to know each other for their love of murder podcasts. And they wind up having, there's a murder in their own building, and they decide to, let's talk about it. Let's see if we can solve it. And it's Martin Short, Steve Martin, and I can't think of her name.
Selena Gomez.
Daisy Ridley, exactly. And she's perfect in it. And I forgot how damn funny Martin Short is. As great as Steve Martin is, Martin Short made me belly laugh through season 1 and continues to through season 2. Very enjoyable. It's on Hulu. If you guys have that Hulu, or if you know Keith, you can watch Murders in the Building. Excellent show. Highly recommend it. Enjoy. Chad, enjoy. We'll catch up on it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm glad it's picking up where the previous season left off, much like the show that we're going to be talking about today. That was going to be our opener, but fuck my plans. It picks up right where the prequels left off, and that is Disney Plus's newest Star Wars entry, Obi Wan Kenobi, starring Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Chad, we have now watched all 6 episodes of Obi Wan Kenobi. How did it land for you? What did you think about the show?
I think that it landed pretty good. As far as I've said this about the MCU shows, I feel like a lot of the final episodes maybe are not as good as what we've seen leading up to it. They don't stick the landing.
Yeah.
This is different though. I really enjoyed the last episodes. The last episode particularly as well. I think that they fixed some of the concerns I had in the previous podcast about continuity errors. And to me, they didn't fix them in like a cheap way. I really think they fixed them. I mean, the problems I was having, it worked itself out. So I like that a lot. I like the flashbacks that they did to the pre-Clone Wars era, things like that. I really like that. It'd been cool if we'd have saw like maybe a Clone Wars flashback or something like that, but there could always be season 2 with this unless Rob has his way about it. I think, some of the problems we had, like I said, with maybe Reva, the Inquisitor, maybe with some of her acting choices, you could make the argument that because she was trying to trick Darth Vader, that she wasn't a very good actor. The character wasn't a good actor.
Yeah.
Not the actress. The character maybe wasn't a good actor. So I feel like it fixed some things. I really do. I loved Leia. Ewan McGregor was awesome. It just took me back. Was it perfect? No. Do I want a second season? Yeah, I'd take a second season for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody in the world would agree that a second season.
There wouldn't be. I mean, a crazy person would disagree.
An insane lunatic old man who might be frozen. No. So Rob, what did you think about season 1 of probably 25 seasons of Obi Wan Kenobi?
I didn't enjoy this. We've had many conversations about this off air. It felt, look, I know this is a Disney show and there are professional people involved. This was the least professional looking series that I've seen put out by a studio in God knows how long.
If there was ever any doubt that Rob was not going to get Star Wars,
this is the moment that just encapsulates everything. They escape in their ship. Okay, they escape in their ship after they wait around for a 4-year-old girl to fix a wire for like 35 minutes, which was anyway. I digress. I'll get back to that in a minute. They escape in the ship. They're being chased by Darth Vader in a battleship, in a space battleship.
That's exactly what it's called, a battleship.
Space battleship. Now, apparently, a long time ago in a place far, far away, they didn't have any tracking as far as for shooting. And they're literally being chased by this ship, who was firing off thousands of rounds at them. And the level of urgency this show is unencumbered by any levels of urgency whatsoever. They're sitting there on the ship going, "Hey, what'd you have for lunch today? You have lunch? Yeah, lunch was good today. Maybe we'll go over there for that lunch. Hey, maybe when we get there." And you cut outside, and they're being chased. Literally, it felt like a scene from the Orville. It felt like a failed comedy more than a failed drama. It made no sense. Tell me. So, different episode. So Obi-Wan meets Darth Vader. By the way, spoilers. Obi-Wan meets Darth Vader. He's kicking the shit out of Obi-Wan. Okay, that's fine. The fight was okay. I mean, the location choices were, why don't you and I go shoot Star Wars in my backyard? But that's another thing. That's fine. So Vader beats the shit out of Obi-Wan, which is okay. That's not my complaint. With the Force, starts a fire, drags him through the fire, stops the fire. He's about to kill him, and then somebody starts a real fire, and Darth's like, a real fire? What am I going to do with a real fire? And they're like literally 15 feet away from him, and they escape. Are you kidding me?
I kind of think your retelling of the story isn't like quite accurate to what happened.
What vision, people?
That being said, I do think that Darth Vader probably isn't that big of a fan of fire for some reason. I can't.
Yeah, maybe. Granted, Rob has admittedly said, I don't even think I've seen half the prequels where he becomes Darth Vader because he's burned in lava and fire.
Yes.
Prequel is something I put in my coffee. Or is that equal? Sorry. Look, hey, he had no problem starting the fire.
I don't think he
Pull
started the
Obi-Wan
fire.
through.
I think that
Apparently, he's not that afraid of fucking fire, and he can put it out. What? Good Lord, he's not Frankenstein. He kind of is.
He is.
What do you I know that's why he can go ballistic. He started the fire. He stops it, and another one. He's like, "Well, that's a different kind of fire. If it ain't magic fire, I can't fucking play fire."
First of all,
he flew across the universe to attack the guy, and a brush fire stops him from attacking. Oh, please.
That sound cue's got to be in here, Keith.
Yeah,
we didn't start the fire. Like, geez, Louise. I would also push back on Rob's thing too. I don't know if you watched the little movie called The Last Jedi, but half the movie of that is where a First Order ship is firing on the Resistance the entire time, and they're just having conversations the entire time.
Well, maybe that was just the final straw. Maybe I had seen too much over the years. And I'm finally like, I just watched Top Gun. Every plane had tracking lock on it. For the love of God, they weren't wasting bullets. These
Rob,
guys.
This is Rob. Rob is like, yeah, this Obi Wan Kenobi show sucks. Let me tell you why. The stormtroopers can't shoot for shit.
That's exactly.
They can't. Like, I don't believe this
religious. Get religion out of my show.
When
are they playing volleyball?
Okay, well, let's not talk about then the shooting of the action scenes where these three mental cases are chasing the girl through the woods at the beginning, and it's literally, come on, they should be playing. It's not good.
We're talking about the last three shows, not the first three, Rob. You
already
made that complaint.
The first three, I'm going back to it. But we're talking about the show overall. It was not good. It was not.
I loved it.
Let me tell you. So let me one more thing drove me crazy. I got to get this off my chest because I'm never going to get to that. So Princess Leia was safely brought home by the people who Obi-Wan left her in charge with. Ice Cube's son. So Obi-Wan, after it's all said and done, travels across the universe, lands the ship where they are greeted by Jimmy Smits, his wife, and Leia, all decked out. Gets off the ship. You think there's going to be this great pomp and circumstance. He gives her back the robot, and then he hops on the ship and leaves. No, hey, you want to come in for lunch after flying across the universe, buddy? Hey, you saved our daughter. The human behavior in this fucking show was not normal human behavior.
Well, I don't think they're technically human because they're aliens. I mean, they're all from a galaxy.
Not typical alien behavior.
I've
seen aliens. I know aliens, and you, sir, are no alien.
That's very true. The first factual thing you've said the entire podcast. I think, to me, best Star Wars show out of all the Disney Plus ones. It hit hard for me, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't have the problems that Prago has mentally. I enjoyed a lot of it, especially that last episode really fucking got me. That scene of Hayden Christensen's helmet being split in half.
The only good moment in the show, by the way.
Such a good moment, though. Ewan McGregor's acting, when he is eyes filled with tears, apologizing, and Hayden Christensen's little smile. You didn't kill him, I did. That moment is one of the best moments Star Wars has ever produced in everything.
And it even helps Obi-Wan's line in A New Hope.
Yeah.
When he lies to Luke about who killed his father.
Darth Vader killed your father. He
literally told me that. I was standing right there when he told me that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it makes the whole show just about Obi-Wan being able to forgive himself and get that weight off of it, right? And that's awesome to me. And plus, I think the girl who played Princess Leia was absolutely phenomenal. I think seeing Jimmy Smits was great. I think the scores were fantastic. I think if you have a rock quarry in your backyard that we could do fight sequences in, that's super cool. I thought all the locations were awesome. I'll give you that some of the chase scenes in the earlier episodes that we've already discussed were kind of crap, but I loved the show. I totally dig it.
I just want to say one thing in defense of Keith. He is the greatest audience. He is the strongest support you can have on any level. I want to tell you this, and Chad will appreciate this. Keith wrote an absolutely glowing, and I didn't know who wrote it at the time. I was just like, wow, wrote an absolutely glowing review of Zombie Invasion when we screened it. And I just sit here and go, yeah, I mean, if he's on my side, absolutely, it's awesome. I disagree with you. I disagree with you wholeheartedly about Star Wars, but I appreciate your passion and support. It's astounding and blind and a bit challenged. But yes, no, please continue.
But I think it's about like, what is this trying to accomplish, right? And with like Zombie Invasion, if you're not familiar with Zombie Invasion, I think it's on Amazon Prime. It is a trashy horror movie that's trying to be that. A trashy.
It's actually on Tubi, but go ahead, Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi. So it's a trashy. So yeah, I rest my case. But it's a trashy horror comedy that's trying to be that, and I feel like Obi Wan Kenobi is trying to bridge the gap between the prequels to get us to episode 4. And it does it in, for me, emotional ways. I think, Chad and I are both people who have seen the prequels. And I think we probably saw them near the same age. And it's sort of, even if we didn't like them at the time, there is something sort of sentimental about them. And this finds that way to sort of bridge that gap. And the fact that they brought Aunt Beru back, fucking wonderful. If you're unfamiliar, the actress who plays Aunt Beru was in the Nexus cult. And she was a victim of all the stuff that happened there. And so has emerged out on the other side. And it's awesome to see her on the screen. Plus Joel Edgerton and her going defend our ground sort of way. I love that. Yeah, I totally dig it.
The only thing I would like to see going forward, if there was any offshoot from this at all, I think Joel Edgerton was so, oh my goodness, so criminally underused. And I understand, the structure of the story and who it's about and everything. But going forward, now that he has guardianship of Luke, I'd like to see the next couple of years of what he has to go through on that planet or off, depending on what they do, dealing with Luke and him growing up and the hardships of growing. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to see more Joel Edgerton. But let's move on to the next one. Since we have so much stuff to cover, I'm going to inject one in here that only I saw, but it is a new television show, 2 episodes on HBO Max called George Carlin, American Dream. It's directed by, I just forgot his name. Oh my gosh. Give me 1 second. The guy who directed 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Rob, while he's doing that, do you want to shit on George Carlin real fast?
Yeah, just go.
Just you want to go off on him?
It's
what a hack.
Yeah. But Judd Apatow directs.
Apatow did that. Okay.
Documentary series. Again, it's just 2 episodes, but it takes you in through Carlin's life, and you get to, see videos of him when he was fresh out of the military performing, when he was still part of a duo act. It talks to his daughter, home videos. You talk to filmmakers he worked with, like Alex Winter and Kevin Smith. And it's just a really great view of the man, warts and all. And even goes as far, and I feel like if you're doing a Carlin piece, you have to do this, of going more political than anything I've ever seen Apatow do. There's montages in the 2nd episode that are just like kind of ferocious in their level of intensity, but that's right in the spirit of who he was. And it's just a who's who talking about the man's material in his life. It's really great. If you're a fan of stand-up comedy, if you're a fan of George Carlin, definitely, I can't recommend it enough. And I feel the same because George Carlin's sort of a superhero in the comedian's world. Now let's talk about a superhero in the comic book world, and that's Miss Marvel. We are now 4 episodes in. Chad, you haven't seen the newest episode, is that right?
That's correct. I haven't seen the one that just came out today.
Okay, so we will sort of steer clear from that, but we can talk about the previous 3 episodes and talk about the 4th episode without any big spoiler alerts. But I will say, where the 4th episode caps off was not anywhere I was expecting us to go. And that sort of a creative, I can't wait to see what they do next. But aside from that, Chad, how do you feel about the first 3 episodes of Miss Marvel?
I love this show. I'm a big fan. This is probably my 2nd favorite Disney Plus MCU show, behind WandaVision. And it's 2 reasons, really. It's the main character, She is adorable. She is perfect.
Yeah.
I love her. The second piece is this almost seems more Spider-Man than Spider-Man to me.
Yeah.
This is high school. We are fleshing it out. It's not a movie, Spider-Man in high school. It is a show. The supporting cast with her friends, her family, trying to keep things a secret. It is very Spider-Man to me. And I love it. I love that, the whole aspect. Like I said, I'm a big fan. And it's funny, it's coincidental because Rob was telling me this and I didn't realize this, but the guy who plays Bruno was in the running. He was one of the 3 finalists to be Spider-Man in the MCU. So it's kind of neat that he's actually in this, as what I think is almost maybe a more Spider-Man show than Spider-Man. I'm a big fan. I know that there's some issues with her origin. What some people have issues with it. It's not comic book accurate. That does not bother me at all. I would think, somebody like Rob probably wouldn't bother at all. He doesn't even really know the comic book origin.
He doesn't know what
certainly
comic book is. So that's totally
fine. He might know it because I'm sure he's watched 50 YouTube videos about it. That's probably why he's really.
I can tell you everybody else's opinion. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. So I just love it. I think it's funny. I think it's clever. It's Spider-Man meets Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
The visuals are amazing. I love this show so far. Big fan.
Awesome. Rob, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this show. It's one of my top 2 or 3, with WandaVision and Hawkeye. And they feel more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies for me. And I think it comes down to just the way they're handling the relationships and the casting. And to me, I didn't realize this, but it's more about the small moments. I can spend time with their family all day long. I love the mom. I love the dad even more. The brother cracks me up because and she's awesome. And boy, for someone who really was discovered and never acted before, I think she's very reminiscent to me of Kate Bishop too. The actress playing Kate Bishop, but just their comfort in their skin and their attitude. And I'm looking forward for them going. I hope there's a chance for them to go toe to toe in the Young Avengers coming down the line. I'm a big fan of this show. I thought episodes 1 and 2 were just flawless to me, really flawless. There were a couple of hiccups I thought in 3 and 4 as far as pacing. I think the bad guys are a little weak in the sense of development, but also in their power set. I don't think they have any powers, and they handle they. I'm not really sure they have powers. I know they're mashing together a couple of things of I forgot the word, clandestine and the Jinn. Which again, it's cool. It's a little, her origin's a little messy. It's a little sloppy. I think this show could use a little breathing room. For me, I think there was a quick turn with the bad guys in episode 3 where in one episode, it's like, oh, we love her. Come on in. We're going to kill her. And I was like, what the fuck is, and there was no rhyme or reason really to it. They've been waiting 100 years to get back. Holy shit, take a breath. This girl has this thing that can get you back. Handle it correctly. So it was a little sloppy in that. That being said, I love the filmmaking. I want these directors and this group of people to make some Marvel movies. I love the look. I love the feel, the way they're handling the social networking and the texting in everything, in all parts of her world, whether it's on the side of a building or wherever it is. It just puts a smile on my face. She's funny as shit. Her timing is great.
Yeah.
It's very self-referential. As far as a couple of hiccups, I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, same here. I absolutely love it. I think she is charming in a way that Christopher Reeve is, that Gal Gadot is. It's just like, it's a star-making turn, and I'm so excited to watch it. I love those creative elements, and I wish, the first episode I think has them the most, and I wish they trickled throughout the rest of the season a little bit more. I have no problem with the clandestine. I only knew them from the X-Men comic books. So when they said clandestine, I was like, hold the fucking boat. That's right. Serious? What a deep ass cut. I know there is some controversy, not even from comic book fans, but the way, to invoke the name of the Jinn within a Muslim background or a culture. It's more, I suppose, more intense than we're giving credit to, because it's now sort of tongue in cheek within this. But jinn aren't like genies in that world, but they're more like the same way that I think Christians would view angels is sort of the same sort of parallel. And so I think some conservative groups within that faith are getting a little upset with that depiction. But again, they're not really jinn; they're just called jinn, whatever. So I think it's fine. It's an interesting way. And then after watching episode 4, I completely understand why they're changing her power set and all of that to sort of put her in a different place within the hierarchy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I also love the fact that every now and then we sort of acknowledge what her powers are in the comics. You can see through some of her gestures and stuff, she does embiggen ever so slightly, and that's cool. That's a cool little nod. And I think it's just fun. It feels like it is aiming towards a very specific niche audience, but also saying, hey, we welcome you all. It feels so culturally relevant to people from that part of the world, to Pakistani or Indian, viewers. They even have a few different Bollywood actors of note that are in the show. And
there's an actor in this 4th episode who is so good. I didn't know who he was, and I found out he's a very well-known.
Yeah.
This guy was awesome. Keith knows who I'm talking about. The guy who should be in Pakistan, but yeah, phenomenal.
And it's also like it's awesome too, because the MCU, I mean, that doesn't need any help. They don't need publicity, but got a shit ton of publicity off that casting, because it's seen as a sign of they are reaching out to be more inclusive. And so I'm here for it. I love the show. I can't wait to see where it goes next, because again, episode 4 left me in a place where I'm like, seriously? Okay.
And what a great job, not to cut you off, what a great job of throwing those of us who don't know a whole lot about that part of the world and that culture, it really just immersing us in that without it feeling preachy. You're just, again, what a great job of show, not tell. Just you're in it and you're learning about it through the relatability of other people who are just going through the same shit you go through. And again, just doing a great job of showing the differences, but also showing the similarities of people. We all want the same things. We're all looking for the same things. And all the kids go through the same thing. And it's, just a great job of leveling the playing field to those who are just not aware of that part of the world. And again, it's the history of what they're talking about, the separation of Pakistan and India. I was like, have I ever heard of this? Is this something I learned? And wow, I can't wait to hear. I literally can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Going forward. And I hope it actually plays into a little more what's going on, because they're referencing it so much. I just literally forgot the phrase, but they call it
not partition. The
partition. Is it partition?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's the partition. Yeah. Anyway, I want to hear more about that. But
yeah, absolutely. It's doing a great job. And it's strange to how many times we look to entertainment to educate us about the terrible things that have happened in our society, right? Think about Watchmen. Think about the television series Watchmen, and how it sort of educates about Oklahoma and all the things that happened in Black Wall Street. It's stuff like that. Like it gives the opportunity to extend a lens towards those parts of our history that we've sort of tried to keep quiet, or that we've been so isolated from or self-obsessed with not to see. And also there's a bunch of Atlanta talent in this show, and that's great. Randy Havens was in the first episode. You might know him from Stranger Things. Rob's friend Vashon was in episode 2, I guess. And
3, I guess it was episode 2, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. Some awesome stuff there. And speaking of awesome stuff, let's go on to another thing that I watched. And that is the Etheria Film Festival 2022. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Etheria Film Festival, it is a film festival based in Los Angeles that is genre, so mostly horror and science fiction, but geared towards female filmmakers and storytellers. They just put up the 2022 festival in its entirety on Shudder, so you can go watch this collection of short films, all helmed by female filmmakers from around the world. And, it comes right as the Supreme Court announced, their terrible decision, which seems almost like a fitting time, I suppose. And some of the stories are very, very powerful and lend into that. And then some of them are comical. One of my favorites is, I think, the last one called Come Fuck My Robot, which is a hilarious short film based on a true story about a guy who enters an ad in Craigslist to come fuck a robot. And it's just about autonomy and stuff like that. It's absolutely fantastic. So, to me, some of the films are hit or miss. Some of them you can tell people are at different stages in their filmmaking career. It can't all be The Great Erecto or Deadpool Typical Tuesday, I suppose. But there's a lot of great stuff there to check out. So if you have Shudder, what the fuck else you gonna do? So let's move on to our next one, which I think is something Chad and I saw. It is Pixar Disney's newest feature film. It is Lightyear, starring Captain America himself. Chad, what did you think about Lightyear?
Well, you know how I feel about Pixar lately. So is Pixar back? It's still not back to the highs of Pixar, but I enjoyed this. This was good. I didn't feel the emotional oomph as some of the earlier Pixar films. There's definitely some emotion there. Definitely, don't get me wrong. But I'm wondering if I didn't feel it is just because this is more, other than other Pixar movies, this is very action oriented,
very much,
like very action oriented. So I'm wondering if that maybe overrode some of the emotional stuff that I'm used to getting with Pixar. But it's definitely better than some of their recent offerings, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, this was pretty good. Socks was super funny. Taika had some good lines.
Yeah,
there's some good stuff in this.
Got a
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'd recommend this for sure if you're a Toy Story fan. Pixar, it's good. This is worth checking out for sure.
Absolutely. It shocked me how many Toy Story callbacks there were. And I guess I'm an idiot going into it, but every single line that Tim Allen said in the original Toy Story, he says in this movie, right? And you see why he is the action figure. And I think it also shocked me, two other things, how similar their voice tones are. Because at times I was thinking, is that really Tim Allen? No, that's, I know who that is. And how action-packed the film was. It's trying to be a 90s action flick that has an endless budget, and it pulls it off wonderfully, I think. Even having some twists that I didn't see coming. Old Daddy Brolin showing up, that was cool, but then when you find out who he really is, holy shit, that's awesome.
Right.
And so some cool sci-fi creative, and it's not dependent upon Toy Story being something you love. It serves as its own story and fully functions and is great. And, like any good Pixar movie, you still learn a lesson at the end of it. And so I enjoyed that. But yeah, Socks is probably the greatest character in the history of cinema.
Well, then how the movie starts, Rob, it's a little wording where it says something like, this is the film that Andy from Toy Story saw in
1994. A boy bought an action figure from his favorite movie. This is that movie. Yeah.
So that's how it starts. So what I was thinking we were going to see in the stinger, and I'm really surprised they didn't show it, is Andy showing his child Lightyear and kind of passing the torch. And she might have her own Buzz Lightyear stuffed animal or something.
That'd be awesome. It would have been great if we cut to the theater and we see Andy in that original animation style. And so it's 95 and we see him in that 3-dimensional thing. But I dug it. I thought it was just a super fun movie all around. Now talking about another fun thing that I watched, another comedy special, or a comedy special. I watched two. This one's called Norm Macdonald Nothing Special. And it's on Netflix. As we know, Norm Macdonald passed away recently, but prior to him passing away in the middle of 2020, he was going to have surgery for one of his cancer complications. And he got nervous the night before the surgery. So he decided to film himself doing an entire stand-up set in his home, all on a computer in one take with his, I think, agent and manager on a Zoom with him. And so the entire thing is one angle of Norm Macdonald just delivering his material to the camera on the computer. And it's raw and it's not super polished, and some of the material's questionable, but he has such a personality. But the thing that makes this, I feel, a must watch is after they show the movie, there's a postscript to it. And the postscript is a conversation that takes place between David Letterman, Dave Chappelle, David Spade, Adam Sandler, Conan O'Brien, and Molly Shannon, who are all super close to Norm before he passed. And it's them having just watched this film and discussing it and discussing what he meant to their lives. And that adds a more sentimental touch to it. And then probably the most sentimental aspect of it, I would say, even that remains with me even more than the comedy, is the last story Norm MacDonald tells. The last thing he'll ever say on film is him talking about how much he loves his mother. And he sets it up with this bit about how nervous she is for him or whatever, but he really ends the show with "I love my mom," and that's where it fades away before everybody else starts talking. And it's just a really sweet, hindsight makes it a more special place for us. So, if you're a fan of Norm MacDonald or just experimental comedy, or just want to relish in somebody having died like Rob does when he and watches stuff, Norm MacDonald, Nothing Special, is available on Netflix. Now, we're going to go on to something else that we all watched. A movie that I guess is like 65 million and 26 years in the making. Jurassic World Dominion, the 6th film in the Jurassic series, the 3rd in the 2nd trilogy. This is supposedly the one that's going to conclude everything. Obviously, it stars all of the Jurassic World characters. You know them. Yeah, Chris Pratt, you got your Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Velociraptors, all of those. Chad, what did you think about Jurassic World Dominion?
This movie's a mess. And I feel like Rob talking about Obi Wan, because I got some stuff to rail against or whatever.
Oh, shit. Okay.
The movie to me did not deliver on the promise of the premise. The promise of the premise is dinosaurs are in the world with all of us now, not some island, not some theme park that kids can go to. And we get a couple of news feeds, and there's one set piece like in Malta. Then the rest of the movie, we're on a damn island again with all the dinosaurs.
I think we're in a valley.
Yeah, well, you get the same point. It's not the world that we would ever be at. Like in the trailer, I loved it when they're just going through the streets and there's like a T-Rex or something just grabbing somebody off his bike or something. Like that's the movie I thought we were going to get. That's the movie I wanted to see. So we didn't get that. That's fine. It's the way it is. That's one piece that I didn't like, but I felt like the bad guys in this movie were very, very dumb. The decisions they were making was insane to me. They spend all this money and they act like that the cloned girl is the most expensive piece of, not technology, but whatever medical thing ever. We're going to test her. The way she gets away is unbelievable. And then they decide to stop the whatever vehicle they're in the middle of the dinosaurs, even though they know she's with them. Like, if that's super expensive, why would you not turn the thing around and make it come back? Like, you're going to just stop them so that she can die in the dinosaurs. It's unbelievable how stupid it is. It's unbelievable how this facility that is presumably $1 trillion company lets all these locusts free because they're idiots that are on fire and blow shit up. It's ridiculous. And BD Wong says something to the effect of, I want to fix this because I've made a huge mistake. I want to fix a huge mistake. That's every movie, my guy.
Yes.
You make a huge mistake in every movie you've been in. Now you're finally saying this is the huge
one. Only good one was Mulan. What everything else you fucked up, man.
Yeah. Even Jurassic Park. He's been like 5 of them. Everyone he makes a huge mistake.
He's the problem continuously.
Exactly. You are the problem, dude.
Yeah.
Finally, now you made a mistake making Locust. No, you made the mistake 65 million years ago, as far as I'm concerned. The only saving grace of this movie was Jeff Goldblum. He stole every scene he was in. He was awesome. I loved Jeff Goldblum in this movie. Everything else, whatever. Special effects, fine. They were good. That's fine. I'll give that.
I will say, like, before I let Rob talk, which should be a sentence I say all the time. Before I let Rob speak, I don't understand why BD Wong got to live. Like, I love BD Wong. Law and Order SVU is my favorite. But we should have had some comeuppance for this motherfucker. Like, at the end, just let the locusts attack him. That's what I wanted. But no, he gets a Mr. Rogers sweater vest. Like,
yeah, suddenly this movie, he is a 90-year-old grandmother. That's the way he's acting.
Yeah. Ugh.
I was like, did I miss something from the prior movie where he got like sick or something? I mean,
some of them got older, kind of. There, that first scene with Goldblum, he was a little copper bloom, if you know what I mean. I mean, he was a little older. Speaking of copper bloom and ancient material, Prager, what'd you think about the movie? You and Dinosaur, you went to high school together, right?
Oh, yeah, we're bunkmates. $50. Hey, BD Wong. I think it just goes to casting. He's so fucking likable. Yeah. He is so vulnerable and so sincere that I think if you kill him, you piss off the audience. No matter what he's done. He's never played the bad guy, even though he's the bad.
In 6 of these, he's been the bad guy.
But I'm saying he doesn't play the bad guy. He doesn't lead. He doesn't. Which, can I go back to Miss Marvel for a second for one complaint?
Yeah. Sure.
Agent fucking Deaver. I have the same complaint with her as I have with Third Sister in Obi Wan. She's playing the bad guy. She's playing the villain. Her choices are not the choices you would make dealing with people under those circumstances. And it bothered me. I digress. Let me go back.
Okay.
BD Wong should give a clinic on no matter what the role is, you're doing the right thing. It's justified. He's so goddamn likable. You're right. Somebody should walk him and go, I don't care how many times you apologize. I'm going to feed you to a goddamn raptor. You fucking, what the hell is wrong with you? The movie's a mess. Listen, I don't get, I realize locusts are a thing. I don't want to watch a movie about the fucking locust problem. Are you kidding me?
It was weird. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, I don't give two shits about that. They were gross. I get it. It was fun. Yes, Chad, you are right. There were no guards. How they escaped, there was literally like, it was like somebody called a meeting and everybody went to the meeting, so it's time to escape. What the fuck? There was no security down there. It was every bit as bad as Obi-Wan and the little girl escaping. Thank you. I'm taking Obi-Wan shots.
I thought too, real fast, this made me think of another one. I got to get this off my chest too, because when the guy realizes that Jeff Goldblum is working against him, he says, get my assistant up here now, because I'm thinking, oh, he knows the assistant helped too.
Yeah.
But no, he's like, just get him out of here, assistant. Take him. You're sending the two people that have been working against you, that clearly have been working against you. You're just letting them go.
But you could have played with that tension there and have it been like, does he know? And then he doesn't. Because I really like the moment that he found out when he went to hand him the book and he just didn't take it. I thought that was a cool moment, but I totally get what you're saying. Go ahead.
That being said, up until right about that moment, I was fascinated with Campbell Scott's performance. Was he a threatening bad guy? No, but his performance was so awkward and so bizarre that I just found that fascinating, because I've seen his other work before, and that's not him at all. But I found him this fascinatingly. I didn't want him to. I knew he was the bad guy. I liked his character so much. I didn't want him to be the bad guy. I wanted him to be sincere. It was so interesting in his choices. Did it work for the movie? No, not necessarily. Look, when the dinosaurs are on screen, yay. When Jeff Goldblum's on screen every time, great. Everything else was kind of hit and miss. I thought there were a couple of good performances by actors. I wasn't really familiar with their work. I believe her name is Damon Watt. Well, Mamadou Athey, who played the assistant, was awesome. Yep. I want to see him in everything. I thought he was great. And DeWanda Wise, who was the pilot, the American, I thought she did some really damn good work. It felt, again, it was another vast, big movie that felt small to me, the way it was shot. It felt like the locations felt small to me. It reminded me of the way they shot The Rock in the Ryan Reynolds movie on Netflix. You know, it's supposed to be this world thing, and every scene it felt like television at times, and it just I had a problem with it. Yeah,
I could see, like I have that problem with Miss Marvel sometimes is when we're doing the fight sequences, it feels like TV. I think
Yeah.
Kenobi will be the same thing. And there's moments in this where we see Sam Neill at the top of a ladder, we see him get scared, and then we just cut to him falling at the bottom of the ladder. We don't see the actual fall. We just see the initiation and the impact, which is an indie film thing, but you're fucking Jurassic World. You know what I mean?
You have all the money.
You have all the money. I didn't run into as many of those problems about the messiness. There is like a moment when we first start off on that farm scene. That intro was beautiful of the actual just dinosaurs around and gorgeous. And when we got to the modern,
my favorite scene opening when the Brontosaurus shows up on the construction site. That was the most emotional scene to me in the whole thing. It was the only thing that delivered what Chad said on the promise of the premise, dinosaurs and how the world goes on and exists with dinosaurs. And it was the only thing that felt grounded and real and literally it almost brought a tear to my eye how the dinosaur felt lonely and lost and the people didn't know what to do and how they got, instead of killing it, they sort of guided it. Literally, that's my favorite part of the movie, hands down. And it's not even close.
I think that's what this second trilogy has done the best with is long neck dinosaurs. Because every single time they have a long neck dinosaur, I fucking cry. You know what I mean?
And like, so bad.
But the entire movie was like that for me. As far as anytime the dinosaurs got hurt, I felt bad for the dinosaurs. I was like, no, little rat.
Definitely.
And so
they did that good. As far as making you feel for the dinosaurs. 100%.
Even the bad dinosaurs, quote unquote, I felt bad for. I didn't really have a problem with some of the special effects were mind-bogglingly good, and some were you could sort of, I don't know, it looked kind of rough still at places for me at least. When the locust showed up, I just thought to myself, well, that's a big ass grasshopper. And then there was a shit ton of them. I'm like, oh my God, that's what the story is. That's crazy. But at the same time, I respect that because that is the next logical step for us. Where are we going to next? The thing that boggles my mind is out of 6 Jurassic Park movies, I don't think you ever really had a really good bad guy in any of them. And then more importantly, why did it have to be this character? If you're unfamiliar with who this character is, he's in the first Jurassic Park where he hands off the shaving cream to Newman. But then the actor, Cameron Thor is his name, in 2016 was sentenced to 6 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl and 13 other counts of third-degree rape. So obviously that actor was not brought back. But you could also like steered clear and he could have just been a random other guy. I mean, I agree with Prago that his characterization was super fucking interesting. He acted more like Zuckerberg. I love that interaction where he does do you have one of my bars? What? Oh, and he's like, do you have any food? Excuse me? Like one of my bars. No, just fine. I'll find one. And just walks away. It felt so improvised and not in the script. And I dug that.
To the point to where, there was no callback to it. Like, there wasn't a point where he needed that food for some other reason. Yeah. So it definitely seemed real in that moment. It
felt like a character trait. And then I loved little moments like Goldblum unbuttoning his shirt and then buttoning it back up. That was a great little callback. Bryce Dallas Howard, when she gets launched up in the air out of that airplane, one of my favorite fucking shots when we're just stuck with her. I could watch an entire fucking movie of her just trying to get through the woods with dinosaurs, and that's what I wanted. And I love the fact that T-Rex and Freddy Kruegerosaurus teamed up at the end and took out the Gigabitosaurus or whatever his name was.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, like it was fun. Like the first Jurassic Park is amazing. I think the first Jurassic World is amazing. Everything else, it's good. It's fine. I'll watch them. I'll own this when it comes out because it's dinosaurs,
I do have a question too. Do you guys think it? I don't know if you noticed it in one of the news things. I can't remember the exact number, but the number of deaths due to dinosaurs was like 85 or something.
Yeah.
You think that was a very low number it was like 4 years.
Especially like when they're showing that, they're literally showing like a Stegosaurus knocking a motherfucker off a road. And I'm like, oh, fuck, because that was graphic, right?
Yeah, and that's
how many people did it say, Chad? How many?
It was less than 100.
Didn't that many people die in like Jurassic World 1 or 2 at the park?
No, I think they're talking about
yearly.
The dinosaurs have been introduced to our freed at the end of part two, whatever Jurassic World Part 2.
Okay, gotcha.
That's how many people have died. But it's been over 4 years. It said it took them over 3 years to catch the T-Rex. So T-Rex is running around. And
They have
like
to
you
eat so
said,
much
the
meat.
Stegosaurus.
You're kidding me? They're eating 85 people a day just to keep their weight up.
Yeah, and the Stegosaurus, which again is not a carnivore, could have easily killed somebody. And the thing that you were talking about,
Yeah.
that's such a low number for
In that
how
scene,
long-
I was laughing so hard in that scene when were they in Italy? I can't remember where they went. Was it Italy? When he's on
Malta.
the motorcycle, and there are people just walking around sightseeing, and there are dinosaurs, and one guy gets eaten. I'm like, serves you fucking right. This movie should be called "I Ain't Leaving My House Till They're Gone." I mean, that's insane.
Oh, but I would die instantly. I would go
you
pet a
kidding?
dinosaur.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What, this is
You go
insane.
pet a dinosaur.
You see my arms from cats? Like, it's just, I would be done. But yeah, I like that. Plus dinosaurs are fucking dope as shit, man.
Yeah, dinosaurs were cool.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, but speaking of things that are old, I don't know. Black Phone is a movie that
I want to see this. I've actually heard
Me
good.
too.
I've heard good things about it.
Starring Ethan Hawke. Chad, what did you think about the movie Black Phone?
It's a Blumhouse film. You know, I'm a Blumhouse bitch, so like I'm all about Blumhouse. I'd like this movie. It was good. You know, it's set in 1978. It really captured that. I felt like, you know, from the look, the setting, it totally. I felt like I was in 1978 to the point to where it. At some point, I thought I was watching. Oh my gosh, Dazed and Confused at the beginning. You know, that's what I felt like. It felt real and lived in that world. You know, Ethan Hawke's awesome. I want a pop figure of his
Mask.
They're called the Grabber is what he is. So, you know, I want that. He's very creepy. And it's a little bit of a split vibe. It's because he's got the mask on, but sometimes he's just talking. He's like super nice. He's like, yeah, I'm probably going to let you go. No big deal or whatever. And then in the next sentence, he's like, but then I might kill you, you know, whatever. And he changes his voice. So it's a little bit like that where he's kind of acting crazy and things like that. But really, the two lead kids, the kid that's kidnapped and his sister are awesome. They are amazing. There is a scene earlier on in the film with the sister that was so real and raw and emotional. It was very uncomfortable to watch. Like, that's how good it was. It didn't even seem like she was acting. It seemed like it was real. And I was watching something I should not be watching. That's how good she was.
Wow.
But it's very good. I would definitely recommend watching this if you're a horror fan, for sure. You know, it's the same guy who did Sinister. So he's reteaming with Ethan Hawke. It's got a
Erickson,
little
right?
similar.
Erickson from Doctor Strange. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, but again, you know, it feels more like Sinister than the original Doctor Strange as far. But yeah, I'd say definitely worth checking out.
So as far as you being a fan of Blumhouse, if I get your opinion correctly, at this point, the rose isn't off the Blum.
Yeah, good one.
Thanks, bud. Hey,
was
moving on.
terrible.
Thanks. I passed it to you, Keith. I passed this to you.
That made me think of I want to watch this movie really, really badly. I want to go back to that film festival thing I was talking about. If you watch any short film from that, there's a film called Familiars. And the young actress in it, I think the film is Australian, but the young actress in it, the lead, is phenomenal beyond her years. She's probably a young teenager. I know she's been cast in the new Game of Thrones TV show, but watching that movie is worth it just to see her performance. Anyway, but yeah, when you were just talking about that standout performance, really, start chord. But speaking,
Hey, you guys fill for a minute. I'm gonna go pee. Let's put that on the.
Oh yeah, great. That's gonna be. I don't know what picture I'm gonna use when you look at this on YouTube. It'll be you probably need a microscope. Anyway, it's going from jokes. Let's talk about some more jokes. Another thing that I saw is a Netflix stand-up comedy special. Pete Davidson. I think it's called like The Best Friends. I didn't care enough to look it up because it wasn't good. Pete Davidson was funny, and he was like the only one. The end. Moving on. You could skip that one. Another thing I saw that wasn't as criminally unnecessary as that was David Cronenberg's new film, Crimes of the Future. And Chad just made a face that says everything you need to know about the body horror movie that this fucked up thing I watched is. It is weird. It is weirder than I thought it was going to be. And it's weirder in the, like, I don't think it's as gross as I thought it was going to be. In fact, there are moments that are much more erotic than I thought. I don't know if you've ever seen his movie Crash, which deals with the fetishism sort of stuff.
Right.
Stuff like that happens. We get to see the girl from the James Bond movies completely nude, and she's fantastic. She's also fantastic.
The one girl from the James Bond movies?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. His baby mama. She's in this, and she's fantastic and nude throughout the vast majority of the film. And Viggo Mortensen plays this performance artist that in this world, art is taking your body apart for other people to watch. In this world, humans have ceased to experience pain, and we're developing new organs as we evolve, and the government wants to control that. So it's a very post-apocalyptic world. So Viggo Mortensen is one of these people that's evolving and constantly like hacking up a lung. He can't stand up straight. He's always crouched in a corner. And it's just the weirdest fucking performance to watch. And then Felicity Homeboy shows up. Not funny Felicity Homeboy, but older Felicity Homeboy, the one that was in Underworld. He's like one of the main
Wolf.
Yeah.
Scott Speedman.
Yeah. So he's who played a wolf. I see what you got there. He plays one of the main characters. He's a father of a genetically manipulated boy who is the future of humanity. And so it's sort of this detective story and sort of a metaphor for what it is to be an artist. You know, do we, in pursuit of our own art, interrupt our own evolution? Are we doing the right thing? And it has all this ambiguity mixed to it. But all of that being said, try to just explain what the fuck this movie's about. It's weird. It's gross. It feels more limited than most of Cronenberg's stuff. It feels like it's all shot on one block in the weirdest of ways. It is not nearly as graphic as the trailers made it seem. Kristen Stewart's great in it, but she's only in it for like 5 minutes. But it is interesting. It's not my favorite of Cronenberg's, but he still got it. I just feel like I wonder what the budget was and if he felt constrained by it, because at times it feels that way watching it, at least for me and being familiar with his other work, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and you said it seems more limited, but if you had to like put it up against other Cronenberg films, is it more off the rails than Cronenberg usually is, less, or is it like just basic Cronenberg?
I think it's less. I think to be honest, like I would compare it to story-wise, nothing hits you out of left field. Once he establishes what world you're in, he stays within that realm. And so it feels almost like an anime. Like we're not in our Earth anymore. We're in this one, and in this one, this is the way things go. Move along, right? Whereas like something like Naked Lunch, it's constantly like, what the fuck's happening now? This one, you sort of get the idea. And you're in this world of body modification artists from the get-go. The opening scene is a little rough because it's about a mother killing her child, and there's a reason for that comes up. But there's some amazing moments in it. Nothing as visually stunning as his previous work, but Viggo Mortensen alone is worth the watch because he's so fucked up in this movie. Yeah, that's a weird ass review of Crimes of the Future, but
you should have said that's a weird ass review of Lightyear, since Rob didn't miss the beginning, what you said it was about. He'd be like, what the hell?
Nudity, Lightyear. Catch a midnight movie right now.
But yeah, very similar movie to Crimes of the Future. Chad and I saw this next one. I just watched it right before we did this, and that is Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Chad, what did you think about Beavis and Butthead?
I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like Rob again, but a little bit different in the fact that I feel old.
Yeah,
because I'm too old. I was too old for this. Like I wasn't when I watched it originally, but I'm talking about this movie I just watched. I feel like I'm too old now.
Oh,
like,
see, I was the right age.
So I was the right age back then. I enjoyed Beavis and Butthead just fine, but it's not clever like South Park. It wasn't funny, and that doesn't mean that the original cartoon and the original movie wasn't. I was a fan of those things.
Yeah,
I was not a fan of this movie. I chuckled a couple of times, but I'd say if you like Beavis and Butthead, don't get your hopes up watching this movie. Sounds like you have a different opinion, though.
I do. I actually going into it, I was scared that I was going to have that same sort of feeling about being too old. And I didn't at all. Like, I thought it was clever in the capacity for what Beavis and Butthead is. Like, I honestly liked this more than I liked the shtick of Do America. Like, I thought it was more refined this time. I thought the whole movie is dumb as shit. It is sophomoric as shit, but it's also farcical to the point that it made me understand Beavis and Butthead more now. Like, the movie, the whole thing starts because they're trying to kick Beavis in the balls enough times till he passes out. And like the dumbest thing in the world. But the fact that it's all just a misunderstanding because they want to have sex and that leads them through time, like that is Moliere on crack. And I fucking love it. There were definitely parts where I think it dipped. I thought when Beavis gets high in jail, it could have been more extreme. I was shocked.
Yeah, he was just acting like Cornholio. I mean, he wasn't like...
He wasn't anything big there.
No.
But again, that misunderstanding of that becomes a revolution for prisoners' rights and all that stuff. I thought that was funny. That Tig Notaro was in it. That fucked me up. I was confused by that. But yeah, I mean, I dug it. If you like Beavis and Butthead, I thought it was humorous. But I'm also younger than all these old fucks.
It's true.
Yep. So I'm not doing the AARP thing. But that's all the movies we have to talk about that we saw. We are going to talk about one trailer. And so hit that awesome trailer music.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Cool. And this sequel kind of crept up on us, and it is about the creepy season. That's for the new film directed by Anne Fletcher that will be premiering on Disney Plus. I think the last day of September, maybe. And that's Hocus Pocus 2. We're back, witches. 3 young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern-day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child-hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. Starring Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, my friend Doug Jones, Whitney Peak, Lelia Buckingham, Belissa Escobedo, Tony Hale, who I love, my buddy Sam Richardson, Taylor Henderson, Juju Journey Brenner, Nina Kitchen, Hannah Waddingham, Freud Gutierrez, Dan Finnerty, Joshua Allen Eads, Anastasia Moussis Sendiopoulos, and Cornbread G. Yep, that's what that name is. Playing, what is Cornbread playing? Drag Mary. I fucking love it. Hocus Pocus 2, the sequel, has come back. Are you ready for a bewitching time, Chad?
Not really.
No.
So, as far as the original Hocus Pocus goes, I'm not like a fan of Hocus Pocus. But something's weird. Like, I feel like online or whatever, people love Hocus Pocus, the first movie. They love it. And I just don't get it. I don't get the love for the movie. You know, it doesn't bother me that there's going to be a sequel. I'm sure, because it's going to be on Disney Plus, and a lot of people will be talking about it. We'll talk about it. I'm sure I will watch it during my Halloween, you know, at least 30 movies during the month of October, with it coming out in September, on September 30th. So I'm going to watch it. The trailer did nothing for me, but I can see if you're a huge fan of Hocus Pocus, it would be cool. And you see all 3 of them and they look the same. Like, I don't know how long it's been, but they look the same.
Yeah. Rob, you go next. Tell me what you thought about the trailer.
You know, a lot like Chad. I mean, I'm aware of Hocus Pocus. I know it had a huge following. It was very popular. It wasn't my thing. Mm-hmm. I think Bette Midler is awesome. I was a huge fan of Kathy Najimy. I mean, I always thought she did great work. And Sarah Jessica, they're awesome. You know, I think it's I haven't seen a whole lot of their work in quite some time. And, you know, I think there's a strange amount of like excited buzz about this. I keep stumbling across online somewhere. So, you know, maybe it's the right thing at the right time. And it's probably going to do great for Disney Plus. It's nostalgic. Nostalgia is all the rage. You know, it's cool to bring things back right now. Hey, you know, I'm happy for a lot of these. I love Hannah Weddington from Ted Lasso. As I was perusing through this, I mean, there's a lot of people in this. Doug Jones is great in everything. Maybe we'll even get to see him as Doug Jones, you know, as his face. You never see his face. I kind of want to see Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, you know, and trying to be funny, you know, all these years later right now. Will I watch it? Who the fuck knows? There's so much stuff on television right now. But I mean, it was a teaser. It was nothing with nothing. It felt like what was the Nev Campbell, the Three Young Witches, and
The Craft.
and maybe it wasn't Nev Campbell, but the Craft maybe at first.
But I just
and it's
You know what you said?
Campbell as well.
I thought I read your lips like I think you said The Craft. It felt like that at first, and I was like, yeah, I see where they're going with this.
that would be the fucking crossover of my dreams. The Craft versus Hocus Pocus. That would be the most amazing movie ever made. I feel like the reason the two of you aren't excited about it is that you do the early bird breakfast specials at Hardee's. You know what I mean? Like it's you're there for the senior citizens discount. But I think that Disney, one of the things that they have on lock that not many people acknowledge is for like a 10-year time span. There's an entire generation who every year they released a new Halloween special for. So for a whole group of people, it's Nightmare Before Christmas becomes their definitive Halloween movie. For a whole group of people, it's Under Wraps. For a whole group of people, it's Halloween Town. And then Hocus Pocus is one of those as well. So if you were younger, female, or just generally more attractive, I think you'd be super excited about this movie. And so I think, and I'm not the biggest Hocus Pocus fan. I think I've maybe watched the movie twice. My recollection of it is after this movie came out, a couple years maybe, that's when people started dogging Sarah Jessica Parker's looks. And I was always like, the hot chick from fucking Hocus Pocus? Like, that was my thought. You know what I mean?
Because listen, I'm going to say this true. Young me thought Sarah Jessica Parker was ridiculously hot in Hocus Pocus.
Still, to this day,
Right.
when I saw her, I was like, yes, brew me.
Super hot in that movie.
Stir
And
my
even
colon.
this one, like I said, she looks the same.
Yeah, exactly. So that was always, I was that age where people were insulting her, and I'm like, I don't fucking get it. Matthew Broderick, you get it, son. So I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited about it.
If there's going to be a crossover, I'd like to see Hocus Pocus and crossover with Practical Magic.
I can see that. It's probably the
Sandra
same.
Bullock,
I thought he was
Nicole
going to
Kidman.
make a pun. So
I thought so
you
too.
actually, I was like, what pun is he going to make with
But
Hocus
Practical
Pocus?
Pocus would be a good name.
Hocus Magic. I think it's all
Or
good.
you could do like a whole witch verse. So you get each
Yes.
witches of Eastwick, Hocus Pocus, The Craft, Practical Magic, Sabrina, all in one, thing.
They should all open up like a restaurant called Sandwiches.
Oh,
Anya Taylor-Joy, Anya Taylor-Joy should show up at the end and just wipe them all out.
fucking kill them.
Oh
all.
my God, you slaughter them.
Yeah.
Also, I don't understand why we didn't talk about Beavis and Butthead, the multiverse, at the end of that movie, because there's a shit ton of Beavis and Buttheads, but that's neither here nor there.
Rick and Morty style.
Yeah. The Council of Buttheads. What we are going to talk about is a new segment that Rob, who is an asshole, decided he wanted to do. And so we're calling this Rob's an Asshole.
The A-list, the asshole list.
The asshole list, the A list. Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So here's what we're going to be ranking this week. We're going to be talking about the top 5 live action comic book superhero shows. It's very specific. So I would wager that Rob is very intentional about
Archie, Richie Rich.
So I mean, I was sitting there thinking, well, obviously it's gonna be Walking Dead, but then I reread it. I'm like, it said superhero. Like that's
I took stuff off the list too because I had to reread the stupid parameters.
yeah, stupid fucking stuff.
Parameters are what separate us from the animals, Chad.
So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go the same order that we always do. Chad's gonna give us his list first. Then Rob's gonna give us his list, and then since mine's the right one, I'll give mine. So,
Or I'm just kidding, guys. That's fine.
or we can do everybody do their number 5s.
No, you're the host.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's do everybody do their number 5s. So Chad, what's your number 5?
So I'm counting. So this is like not the number one. We're counting down.
Yeah.
So I will say beforehand, before I started, I had Buffy on the list as number 1. Doesn't count. I was thinking superhero, if that's what you want to do. And I had Walking Dead, so I had to take those out. So my number 5, though, is Batman 1966.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
That's on my list, but at a different place.
Nice.
Rob, what about you?
Number 5
Mhm.
is Hawkeye.
Okay, because it has Christmas music, so I see why you like it.
Exactly.
The Christmas music was amazing, guys.
Yeah, mine is similar to yours, in that it's different. It is Arrow. And I pick Arrow because so much launched out of it. Our new wave of superhero TV shows, that's all thanks to Arrow. You know what I mean? And plus Steve is a cool guy. For number 4, what do you got, Chad?
I have Arrow. and much for the same reasons. You know, again, it launched. It's like the Iron Man
Yeah.
of the MCU, but CW TV show. And you could argue that the CW shows are better than the DCEU in
Absolutely.
a lot of cases. And I do think they have a lot more to play with. I feel like they have a lot more freedom than the DCEU in a lot of stuff, at least originally.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arrow to me was Batman when they couldn't have Batman.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the villains would be in Batman. A lot of his supporting cast would be in Batman. I mean, he literally fought Ra's al Ghul and took over. That's Batman. He married.
We're watching that back in the day, and you just every show was like another Batman.
Yeah, he
lived his
married
life like Batman.
Ra's daughter.
Yeah.
Not Talia, the
Yes.
other one. So yeah, big fan of Arrow, number 4.
Me too. Rob, what about you?
I got Peacemaker down there. I was so entertained by that damn show. It was the tone. Not that I should have been surprised because it did piggyback off Suicide Squad, but maybe it's just the shock of how good Cena was, and it was so well cast. And I shouldn't be because I love James Gunn. I love his writing, and it just works so well. It was never predictable, and I can't wait for a season 2. I love it. I thought that was an absolute blast. I think that might be the best thing DC has done in quite a while. I'm trying to think the last thing that I went, wow, that was great, DC. It certainly was. It wasn't anything in the DCEU because the best thing there was Wonder Woman. I think they were the first Wonder Woman. Does that going back to Nolan's work? I mean, I don't even know. I was just so fucking entertained by this show. From top to bottom, I love that show.
Yeah, I like the show a lot too. My number 4, I think, is a little bit stronger than yours, and that is the Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Yeah, to me, it's not comic accurate, and part of that always pissed me off as a child because I wanted the Hulk villains to show up. But it has such a sentimental place in my heart. That theme music is iconic. And it was really a show that came along to say, hey, we can do this as a regular ongoing series. And it doesn't have to be Batman level campy. It still has its camp element to it. And it attempted to be Arrow and create these spinoffs before that was even a thing to do, right? It predates the Superboy show by a little bit, and really launches and puts its foothold in the viewing public. And so Incredible Hulk, plus that song.
They had a Thor guest. They had a Thor cameo
and a Daredevil and Kingpin. Yeah. So John Rhys Davies as Kingpin. So what more do you want? Chad, what about you for number 3?
Number 3, Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that show, specifically season 1, with her interaction with David Tennant.
Purple Man
is awesome.
Yep.
I love that first season. The second season, the rest of it's fine. I like it a lot, but that first season is it's near perfect. Like I love it. I love that first season.
It's such a great neo-noir, even down to the music. It's just perfect in what it does. Like, huge fan of that. What about you?
It really is. I'm still hoping she comes back as that character a little bit. That would be nice. She was great.
Yeah. What about you, Rob, for number 3?
As I weighed the eons of shows, the one that fell into third place was The Boys. I love that goddamn show. The production value, the fearlessness, the insanity, the edge, top to bottom. That show is shocking and entertaining and visceral, and the dialogue is so good. The conflicts are the mirroring of the times. I fucking love that show. Absolutely love that show.
Yeah. I think it's great. I mean, it is gross. I can agree with that, but I think it's modern.
Yes, it is gross.
It's visceral, and I think that's it offers. It sort of takes a bite out of that apple in a way that none of the other shows are able to do right now. My number 3 is Watchmen. Only lasted one season, but an incredible. I loved it more than I ever thought I would, especially when you're tackling such a monumental comic that just comic book lovers fucking love that story. But you found a way to make it your own. You didn't try to repeat things, but you still set it within that world, still had characters and gave us where are they now sort of aspects to it. Plus Jeremy Irons as Ozymandias. That's fucking perfect to me. Yeah, I dug it. Chad, coming in at number 2 for you, what you got?
Number 2, I have WandaVision. Huge fan of that show.
Nice.
It's my favorite MCU show, and it ties into the MCU. It had a lot of great twists and turns in it, but just the concept of how it went through the decades of TV that I think it really pulled off, and then made Wanda a badass that had even repercussions into the MCU that we just saw in a movie. Big fan. Not to mention the performances.
Absolutely.
Of the Paul Bettany. Incredible.
What a showcase for Bettany, showing off things we never get to see Paul Bettany do ever. We never get to do that. Awesome.
When they start arguing and she rolls the credits is awesome. I'm getting chills right now thinking about
when he's
seeing
no, and like he's yelling about it. I also love the fact that it took risks and said we can do something new with this genre and give you something. Kevin Feige once said at the beginning of the MCU that every film was trying to redefine what a superhero movie is, and I think WandaVision keeps that mentality going, and I love it for that.
It's been a hard act to follow. Actually, it's been a very tough act to follow.
I
don't think it was originally supposed to be the first one released. Pandemic.
Rob, what do you got for number 2?
Oh, number 2, I got Daredevil. Specifically, I liked all 3 seasons, specifically 1 and 2. But I loved all 3. I just again, visceral and grounded, and the way it was shot, and the action. Oh my God, the action, just beautiful to watch, and it was painful, and it was emotional, and you felt for this lead character, of Daredevil. It's just, and there are scenes with him and Bernthal in season 2 where them just going at each other, debating the merits of what is a hero, and what's effective and what isn't effective, and I can go back and rewatch that over and over again. I think that's just unbelievably powerful. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like as he's slightly reinvented in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Though I loved his appearance in Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Me too.
It was fun.
For number 2, I got Daredevil as well. So I agree. It's one of the shows that most emphatically takes the character seriously and presents that world sort of unfiltered. Like, here's what we have. Here's who this character is. And every single performance, fucking Vince D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk deserves an Oscar just for the idea of that, such a good job. I got to work with Chris Brewster, who is the stunt double for Daredevil. He worked on a film I've done recently as the fight choreographer. It's an awesome guy, and he would tell stories about some of the different Marvel projects he was on. And even when he was talking about Daredevil, he's like, it was brutal, but that's what it had to be, because that's the character is brutal, and that to me is a story where the entire show thematically reflects who this character is. And I love it for that. Chad, coming in at number 1, what do you believe is the greatest live action comic book superhero show that Rob may or may not have watched?
When you say it like that, I'm doubting my choice. But as far as, this was a little tough, because when I made my list and I had this number 1, I was like, am I really going to say this is number 1? Like,
do it.
Really?
That's kind of how I feel about mine too. I'm like, I feel weird saying it, but I'm going to say it.
It's not as emotional as WandaVision or Jessica Jones and things like that. But if I'm just thinking, like, what show legitimately that I have the most fun watching, it's Peacemaker. Like, I just loved it.
Holy shit.
From the opening credits.
That's awesome.
I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It's tough now saying Peacemaker's the best live action comic book show of all time, but I love it. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
I fucking love the show. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's entertaining from beginning to end, perfectly cast. James Gunn has his vision all over it. Talk about like homage and acknowledgement of the comic book source, left and fucking right. Yeah, it's great. Rob, what about you?
And this is one when it came out, not only hadn't I read the comics, I never even heard of them when they came out. And just every episode, this is one of the few shows I could say, and even going back, even like with some of these other ones, there was some, there was some better than others, but there was a great consistency. Every single episode I've seen of this show has had me riveted from top to bottom. Story, casting, Umbrella Academy, the production value. I wish that whoever makes Umbrella Academy, that Marvel and DC would just just do that for our characters. It is a spectacular show. I'm 6 episodes into season 3 right now. And I almost don't want to watch it because I don't want it to end, because I know Netflix is probably going to fucking cancel it. This is one of the few shows recently I went, if it does get canceled by Netflix, it seems like the time of other places acquiring different shows and giving them life again is rare, but that show is just spectacular.
Well, I think this is supposed to be the last season of that.
Is that right? I wasn't even heard there.
But I think Umbrella Academy, it's obviously got its X-Men elements to it. I think Gerard Way, who's the guy who created those characters, he's a rock musician, and he's also like Joe Rogan's like second cousin or something. But he comes from it from such a weird angle and tells such an interesting story with those characters. I dig it. That's surprising me. I thought you were gonna do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Then I was gonna be like, well, technically they weren't. Like, I thought that's where, or you were gonna try to slide Elementary in there or some shit.
I really thought that the only reason he wanted to do this was so that he could talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Me too. I thought that's exactly what this is. That was his ploy.
Just when you think I'm gonna zig, I zag. That's the unpredictability.
Tune in next week when Rob wants us to rank our favorite actors with the initials BP that are in sci-fi films. That's how specific he is. And he's going to tell us about it 5 minutes before we go live.
Yeah. My number one pick is Batman 66. Chad had already cited it, but I think without that, we have nothing. I never got to the fact it was supposed to be comedy when I was a kid. I took it direly serious when I was watching it because this was life or death, clearly.
Yeah. 100%.
But it's also the first, prior to that, you'd have your Superman show and your Captain Marvel serial and your Captain America serial, but nothing ever took from the comics directly to give you the villains, and this did. And it also created elements that stuck with the character for the rest of its existence. And so, I think, and plus, talk about amazing casting. All of those actors worked all the fucking time. And the fact that I know most of them, I know them from Batman, but if you watch any films of the time, they were the top celebrities. And so to see them going in there and having so much fun, just being loose and free and able to do whatever they want, whether it's Cesar Romero or Eartha Kitt or fucking Bruce Lee, I can't, that show, without that, we don't have the modern landscape of superheroes.
And talk about, comic accurate costumes.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as it may have even looked.
Yeah.
For back then, they were comic accurate. Yeah. It was awesome.
I'm gonna have a suit with question marks all over it. So that's
question. God damn, Frank Gorshin was good.
Yeah. And John Astin as the replacement was pretty, Addams Family. Fuck yeah. So anyway, but that's our list. And so next week we'll list sci-fi characters with initials BP, or which of Rob's toenails we like the most, or whatever the fuck he comes up with.
Next week they'll make it interactive, and I'll post a question on the page. It allows you to post a question, and I'll say, tell us your answers to who should be cast as Dr. Doom in the MCU.
Cool. That's what we'll do next week. And then
number 5, spoiler alert, Robert Prago, just so you guys know.
Ooh.
I want to know actors with initials RP who should be cast as Dr. Doom in the MCU.
Could have been in at least 5 other MCU projects.
That's right. They have to have made appearances and have some attachment.
I like the idea of Rob as Dr. Doom. I'll get you, Reed Rich. Oh, my back. Oi.
We're doomed. Hey, this hurts. There's the soup.
So before we go to Latveria, Chad, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Chad129X, the podcast NQC podcast on Twitter. Real fast, as we're talking about casting, Keith, are you auditioning for the Kyle Gass biopic or something? Like, that's all I see. This whole thing is like, I'm thinking Jack Black's going to come through your door here in just a second.
I was working on a stand-up material the other day, and I wrote in it that I look like Louis Anderson going through chemotherapy, and I thought that was funny personally, but just I'm bald. That's all it is.
You look more normal though, with no hair on your head and hair on your chin, than hair on your head and no hair on your chin.
Rob walked into my house the other day, and I didn't have any hair on the head or any hair on the face, and he almost punched me. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt because it's Rob.
You think he was an intruder? He didn't belong here
in my house.
Yeah.
He broke into my house.
He had some food, so it's legal. And I know he had steaks in the freezer. I swear to God, for a second, I looked at him and I was like, it's sort of like you come home and you got a hat and glasses and your dog sees you. He's like, I was like, what the fuck? It was like, wow, okay. There you go. You can play different characters, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I have versatility.
Wow. How
Rob,
fast can you grow that beard back?
I'm not fast enough. Rob, other than breaking into my house to steal food, where can the people find you?
90% of the time, I'm in Keith's kitchen. I can be found on where can I be found? I don't even know where I can be found. Facebook. You can see me Facebook. Pralgo's acting class. You can message me there. I think I have a Twitter at Rob Pralgo. I think you probably get me there.
It's such a great bit Rob does every time.
Every single time.
I don't even remember.
Where can they find me?
And if
I'm trying to perfect it. I'm going to try it once every couple of weeks.
Don't. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions. Thanks.